Hey guys, welcome to BTech. Basil here, and this is the Sony Xperia Z5 Compact. You are watching our camera review. The Z5 Compact is also getting a benchmarking gaming review in the coming days, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. That's exactly how you are going to stay on top of all our review components, which will go really nice and in-depth, and then our culminating review, which will be a little bit more superficial but touch on absolutely everything. Onto the camera, and it's a 23 megapixel snapper around the back. It's a new improved sensor. It has nice fast autofocus. We've done some video comparisons to digital image stabilisation on this. Works beautifully compared to the iPhone 6s Plus in full HD. Not necessarily so much in 4K, but how does it fare in photos? For starters, I'm going to talk you around the camera user interface. And instantly, this is very familiar to anyone who has owned a Sony phone before. You've got fire button or shutter release button, record button so you can jump straight into recording video, a shortcut to your gallery, and you've also got a mode select, which we'll come on to in a short while. You can also see, for the first time in Superior Auto, you can actually tune brightness and color levels, toggle flash, which we've always seen before. And what's nice about Sony devices is you can have a fill flash, so it's not a full-blown pow flash. In addition, you've also got toggle between front and rear camera, and you've got some options. You can change the resolution of your photos. You can shoot up to 23 megapixels in Superior Auto now. It used to be limited to 8 megapixels. You can obviously flip back to 8 megapixels. You've also got face recognition. You can control the video options, including SteadyShot, and control whether the microphone's toggled on or off, and touch capture and a few others. Generally speaking though, it's pretty standard stuff aside from the addition of those brightness and color options. Jumping into the shooting modes, and that's where really Sony comes into its own. It's got a whole ton of them. Is that a good thing? Well, for people who like to tinker, it definitely is, but for a lot of people it will just be overkill. You've got a manual mode. That isn't really true manual. So if I tap through on that, you can control things like HDR toggle on or off. You can control exposure compensation. You can also change your scene out, but you can't do things like control shutter speed and ISO and shutter speed and manual focus. You can, however, control ISO. As you can see, you can have ISO up to 3200, which is nice and high for a smartphone. There are a few other options, but nothing too crazy considering this isn't a full manual mode. Pretty much everything that we've seen before. Jumping into the options, you can also see AR effects, allows you to overlay kind of dinosaurs and things on your scene. Style portrait, which applies real-time styles to your face. AR mask, which does the same, so you can make yourself look kind of like a cat, even though you're a human. 4K video, standard, records 4K video. You can see our video samples on there. What's nice about the Z5 Compact is it takes longer to overheat than the Z5 in 4K video, so you can get a decent amount of time out of it. In fact, generally we found the Z5 Compact to come up a fair bit cooler than the Z5. Creative effects let you overlay effects over your image, so we can just tap through. You can see also there's a bit of waiting in the camera UI. There's been an update that was released today to fix that. We haven't actually had the pleasure of updating this one just yet. It isn't available for us, but hopefully that will fix that slight delay. That slight delay is also applicable when you want to fire up the camera for the first time in a while. Obviously ours was just open, so it fired up quickly. Tap through on that. In addition to creative effects, a sweet panorama, sticker creator, which is a new one, and a quirky one. You can actually take a picture of something, so these batteries, and then you can cut that picture out. So I'm going to do a square cut, and then you have that sticker to overlay on future images. It's just a little bit of fun. You could do it with a face. You can give the sticker a border, dictate the thickness of the border, etc. So nothing that's going to change your life, but definitely a fun element. That's generally the theme across most of the shooting modes on the Sony Xperia Z5 and Z5 Compact. What is nice about it though, there's some elements that are really cool. Multi-camera, you can take the same video from multiple angles and it stitches them together automatically. You can also see time shift video, just allows you to slow-mo elements of the video, which is great, and sound, photo, Vine, Evernote, etc. You can also, through the application, actually broadcast video to YouTube and other social platforms as well. Ultimately, therefore, the camera user interface is extensive. Ironically, extensive without manual controls. For that, you'll have to download the manual camera application. Now, this is a hit and miss one. The reason being, if you, for example, want to jump into the settings and change your resolution, you can only go up to 8 megapixels. So you're limited there for starters. Second off, if you want to jump into the shutter speed controls and change your shutter speed, even though the app says it's compatible, unfortunately the manual camera app stops every single time. Now, is that an issue with Sony? Is that an issue with the app? Probably the app, but just worth noting if you're getting this with an intention to shoot in manual. Like I said, it did it again, and it really does do it every single time. One thing that the manual camera app can do, which overrides that of the standard photography app, is the focus. You can lock your focus to macro or right the way out to landscape view. So if I, for example, was to bring the batteries in, you can see we can take a very, very simple, quick shot. So generally good camera in terms of usability. You can download apps to supplement it to make it an even better camera, but that comes with limitations. Now on to picture quality. This is a really hit and miss one in a lot of respects, especially full HD video. The quality on this is awesome, pretty much second to none. And for a device that comfortably fits in the palm of, well, most hands, that's good going. As far as photos go, it's a very, very good camera. In fact, there have been some tests done out there on the web that suggest it to be the best camera. Indeed, if I just take a picture nice and quick to focus, if I open the picture, you can see it does take a second to open the picture, but once it has opened, I zoom in on it. It is a nice and sharp picture in good lighting, generally good results, especially when you shoot it at that 20 megapixels. I found that when you're in good light, always try and ramp up to the full 20 megapixels because it does take full advantage of them, and the results do look a little bit better than the 8 megapixels. So if I click through on that, you'll see by comparison to the one prior, sure, it takes a little bit longer, but as you can see, I can get in nice and close, and it's a really nice and crisp shot. Having said that, you do still get the trademark Sony grain as soon as the lights drop. There's a fair bit of like softening going on in terms of processing, but you get this mottling over a lot of your pictures. In addition to that, it just didn't have as wide a coverage in terms of the flash as the iPhone 6s, for example, or the Galaxy S6. And in addition, you also have a significantly worse performing front-facing camera. For example, you can see this picture Gina took in really good lighting. You've just not got quite as much detail. On top of that, the one I took in mediocre lighting, it's just night and day, excuse the pun. It's a good camera. It's a high-resolution front-facing camera. Definitely improved over its predecessor, but that isn't necessarily enough to make it competitive. Ultimately, therefore, you get this very, very nice mixed bag. For a device of this size, it has amongst the best rear cameras around. It takes beautiful, beautiful macro shots. So for example, if I just bring the batteries right into frame and have that Nomo case in the backdrop, I can tap through, let it get to the closest focal distance and snap that picture. You'll be able to see very, very clearly that. And this is in manual mode, which is oft better than Superior Auto. Once it all sharpens nicely, that looks sensational, truly, truly stunning. Also, if I just want to grab a picture of the Nomo stuff in the background with that really, really super steady hand, you've got this beautiful grain, which I'm preempting, but just because that's the amount of confidence I have in the camera. As you see, it just picks that detailing up really, really nicely. It's when you're out and about and you're in lighting that drops, when you do need things like potentially even a manual shutter speed, optical image stabilization to help counter that low light, that this camera falls down. Probably one of the best if you like taking pictures in pure automatic mode, or at least in this kind of manual mode without tinkering too much with real manual settings. For more advanced photographers who maybe want to get a little bit more out of their camera, then you might be, well, better served with something like the Samsung Galaxy S6 or the LG G4, or indeed the iPhone 6s or S Plus, which do both have full manual controls via a downloaded application that work to a greater extent than they do on manual camera for Android. Hopefully that's been a comprehensive run through as to what to expect from the Sony Xperia Z5 Compact in terms of images. Stick around, we'll be posting a few more of our image samples from this phone. Hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully also you subscribe to the channel if you're not already. That's exactly how you're going to stay on top of everything that we do. And of course, more on the Sony Xperia Z5 Compact. Thanks for watching.